Hello all and welcome to this cybersecurity lecture on IDS/IPS. So what is an IDS? So an IDS is an intrusion detection system which monitors the network traffic or the system activities for any signs of malicious activities. So it acts like a security camera watching everything but does not intervene into anything. Now what is an IPS? An IPS on the other hand is an prevention system. So what that does is that it acts like an automatic door which closes when it sees any suspicious person. It is a little bit better than IDS because it can detect a threat. At the same time, it can block it in real time. So now let's dive into the types of IDS/IPS. So the first type is called signature-based IDS. So a signature-based IDS is kind of like a dictionary attack, but in terms of defense mechanism. So this system relies on a database of all the known attack patterns. So when there is a match happening in one of these attack patterns, there will be an alert trigger. This system is very fast and reliable for all the known attacks. So the second type of IDS we're going to look at is anomaly-based IDS. This system is a little bit better than the signature-based IDS. So what this does is it will learn your normal behavior in your network or your system. So once it learns how your normal behavior looks like, let's say this baseline is your normal behavior, and suddenly a new behavior that is not your normal behavior, that is a deviation from your normal behavior, it will flag this as suspicious. So this system is more useful for newer and unknown attacks on your network. The third type of IDS is host-based IDS. This IDS works only on the end user or only on one system. So what this does is that it will look into the internal logs and the internal processes and look for any deviation from the normal behavior. Now, the fourth type is network-based IDS, which is NIDS. So what a network-based IDS does is that it will monitor the entire network of systems. So in our host-based IDS, we looked inside one system, whereas a network-based IDS, we're going to look inside all of the different systems and all of the main entry points, and we'll look for any sort of, unknown packets or foreign packets. Now, let's look at the IPS. No, it is not the Indian Police Service. It is Intrusion Prevention System. Now, it is basically an IDS, but one step better. So how this works is that it will not only detect the new threats that are coming in, but can also block them and say, no, you're not supposed to come in real time. It can do that by stopping malicious packets. Malicious packet? No. Malicious packet? No. Good packet? Yes, you can come in. Or it can also block any unknown IP addresses. Good IP? Yes. Good IP? Yes. Unknown IP? No. Or at times, such as in a network-based IDS or network-based IPS, what it can do is also reset the entire connection of the network or the host. Now, let's take a quick look at a scenario where both signature-based and anomaly-based IDS works. So let's say you're having a company and that company is running a website, okay? And already known attack pattern is trying to come into your website. So when that attack pattern is trying to come in, your signature-based IDS will look through its, let's say, dictionary or database of all the known attack patterns, and it finds out which attack pattern it is. So after finding out that attack pattern, it can block that malware stream. But in another case, let's say the attack pattern is not something you know. In that case, our anomaly-based IDS will help us out. How does that happen? Well, this is your incoming traffic, okay? So this incoming traffic is what usually your website is running on. But here, there's a sudden spike in the traffic. So your anomaly-based IDS is so smart enough to understand that this is not normal. Your website is not used to having this traffic, and this sudden spike could be the fact that an attack is about to happen. And so at this point, your anomaly-based IDS will trigger an alert and help the cybersecurity analysts. Now that we know the types of IDS and IPS, it's time to look at how exactly do they work, the technical aspect. So both the IDS and IPS, they will inspect the network using deep packet inspection. So let's say this is your incoming packet. They will not only look at the headers, but they will look inside the content of that packet to look for any type of SQL injection attack or a buffer overflow attack. Now, modern systems have enabled machine learning to understand your typical user or device behavior. So these behavioral systems and these behavioral analysis will help us find out any anomalies. So let's say this is your usual behavior and the usual time that you log into your computer. But suddenly there is a different IP address or a different time that you're logging in. Your machine learning system, that is your IDS, will be able to detect that this could be a sign of attack. So, how else do your IDS and IPS work? Well, they use honeypot systems. Okay, so honeypot systems are basically small traps set by cybersecurity defense analysts and security engineers, which will look like a real database or look like a valuable place for attackers to go ahead and attack and take the information. So let's say these are your flies, aka your attackers. So they will come towards your honeypot and they'll give all the information that you need as your cybersecurity analyst by attacking on this so-called database. So after the attack, these honeypot systems, which are basically fake systems, can understand how these attacks are happening, the patterns of the attacks, and what exactly they want from such an attack. Now, let's take a quick look at how these honeypots work. Let's say you are a cybersecurity analyst who's working at a bank, and you want to know that how do these attacks or how these attackers attack on a bank's database. So you're going to set up a honeypot, which is basically a trap for attackers to come and attack you. But this is going to be a fake website or like a fake database, which is going to attract your attackers to come attack this specific spot. So once your attackers will attack here, your IDS will pick up all of the attacks and log it in. Now, after they finish attacking, you can take those logs from the IDS and update the rules in your IPS system so that such attacks can be prevented in the future and your bank will be safe. Now, while our IDS and IPS might be powerful, they are not without their set of own challenges. So the challenges that are faced by IDS and IPS are false positives. You know how we learned in an anomaly-based IDS that it will pick up anything that's new or something that's abnormal from your normal behavior and it will flag that as suspicious? Well, sometimes it could be a genuine packet or it could be the genuine traffic, but your anomaly-based IDS would have marked it as false or would have flagged it as suspicious. This is what a false positive looks like. This happens in terms of, let's say your website is undergoing heavy traffic due to a flash sale or due to a lot of customers purchasing at the same time. But in reality, it is not an attack, but your IDS called it an attack. Now, the next way that your IPS and IDS suffer challenges is through HTTPS. With a lot more applications and websites becoming or using HTTPS, it's becoming harder to see the packet inspection. So this is a blind spot that the attackers can exploit and hide their packets. Also, real-time packet inspection is very, very resource heavy. So let's say you have thousands and thousands of packets coming in. Checking and going through the content of every single packet will take a lot of time and it will burn your resources through the hole. Now let's look at the future trends of IDS and IPS. With the evolution of AI, artificial intelligence is making IDS and IPS a lot more smarter and enabling them to detect subtle patterns and adapt automatically. Cloud-based IDS and IPS solutions are becoming a bigger thing. Now, this allows for a scalable protection for bigger companies who rely on cloud-based databases. The integration with SIEM tools will also help centralizing your security and improving with such tools. To conclude, IDS and IPS are very, very crucial solutions in the cybersecurity world. But they also do have their downsides and upsides. It's always best to understand the upsides and work on them, and also know the downsides and try to minimize them. Thank you all for watching so far.